And hello everybody, and welcome to this Grindcast number 4. Today is a special episode because it is 3 of us now. Don't ask us how we misaligned those numbers. I know the OCD people out there are gonna kill us. So this title is the Quad-fecta episode. Why? Because we are welcoming our newest team member, Quad PvP. Or Quad, however he would like to prefer to be named. Say hi, Quad.
Quad. Just Quad.
Welcome.
Yeah, energy.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. We're tired as crap this time around, but hey, don't blame us.
We're super excited to have you because it's just been Dread and I for the most part, and really excited to have more people to work with and share ideas with, and come up with new innovations for the website and for everything that we do. So glad to have you aboard.
Innovation.
Oh yeah, innovation.
Even though he cut me off, my friend.
A little bit.
My friend, and yet kind of still pain in the ass. But overall, good guy and person who usually proves me wrong when that Beta is here. Hi, Beta.
Hello.
Okay, now we got the formal introductions out of the way. Oh boy, what have we been up to? It's been a while since our last one, since our, what was it, Diablo 3 overview with Sibco? That was our last one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It has been a while, man. A lot of stuff has changed since then.
Yes, not only,
So,
let alone in real life. Oy vey,
Yeah.
could I fill up this whole section all by myself, but...
you could. Oh gosh.
But there's kind of been a reason why we haven't done one of these recently. But exciting, weird, and real life dramas all around. So I'll kind of leave myself for last. So Beta, would you like to take first go? What you've been doing? What's been up to?
Sure, yeah. I haven't, not much has changed. I've been actually playing a lot of League of Legends. I'm getting my rank up pretty high in there. I'm about to hit gold. And I've been playing Hearthstone a lot. I've been, basically going off between Hearthstone and League of Legends. I haven't played as much Diablo lately as I probably would like to play. But, yeah, all my free time's going to those two games, and I don't really have time for a third slot at this point. But yeah, I got those, and I probably got a new job coming up pretty soon. So, gonna stay busy. That's always good. And
working for the man.
Working for the man. Yep, that's right. And then and let's see here. What else? I guess that's about it. I just had my 5.5-year anniversary with my girlfriend, so that was pretty crazy. She keeps track of the half years. I only go by the full years, but apparently it was really important to her that we celebrate it, so we did.
No.
Run.
Well, congrats,
Run.
congrats,
Yeah.
and
Thank you.
don't worry, Alyssa was the same way. She kept track of the half years.
Okay, good. I'm not alone. And let's see here. I think that's just about it. So, what about you, Quad? What are you up to?
Actually, quite a bit of the same. Been doing a lot of League, a lot of Hearthstone. But then there's this other game that I play on the side.
You have time for a third game? Whoa.
Yeah, yes I do.
What's the third game? What's this mysterious third game? I'm excited.
It's Minecraft.
Holy, whoa! From left field, Minecraft. That's awesome, though.
And WoW.
And WoW? Whoa.
No, not WoW. And I mean,
Oh,
not,
okay.
not World of Warcraft, but WoW. Does it ever take a toll on you when you're playing Minecraft? You look at the time, and it's like you were in a time machine that took you forward and not backward.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I actually haven't played that game personally yet. I know that kind of sounds like almost blasphemous at this point in this decade. But
Here,
I don't know.
you two
I've heard
continue
it's
to talk. You two continue talking, and Tell us, since this is not only what's going on, your first introduction, tell us a little bit more about yourself. A little bit more about yourself to the more people who are listening. And I'm going to look up a fact to kind of rub it in Beta's face. So just keep on going.
Random fact. I don't know.
Fact.
Random fact. Gaming related?
No,
I'm
personal.
Bronze League in the League of Legends.
You're Bronze League? Are you Bronze 5?
No, I'm Bronze 1.
Bronze what? Oh man, you're almost there, dude. Once you hit
Oh.
silver, you can never go back to bronze. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, I do. I have a Smurf in the Silver League. But in today, there's new placement matches, so have fun with that.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, man, I haven't played today. Oh, man. Wait. Oh. That could be really good or really bad for me.
It's
Man.
really bad.
Yeah.
If you've checked out the forums,
That's
seems
crazy.
bad.
Because
People are going 8-2 and better and getting 5 or 6 divisions downwards instead of up.
Really?
Yes, it's really
Wow.
bad. People are going from gold to bronze. People are going from challenger to gold.
Holy smokes. You know who I blame? Oh, oh man, this is perfect because it ties into both WoW and League of Legends. Greg Street Ghostcrawler is now lead game. I think it's director for Riot. So that's awesome. So he was
There we
the,
go.
game...
Bringing
Yeah,
it.
terrorist.
Okay. So he was the lead game director for World of Warcraft, and he recently, he said his goodbyes to Blizzard, and then he just posted a couple days ago that he is now working at Riot, which is interesting.
He's working from the inside to bring it down.
It's funny. A lot of people have like some type of vendetta against him because he nerfs a class. People get upset.
Not a
because of
mage.
the class. No, no, he does not touch mages. So people who play.
He knows
like
better.
Bland, they're happy. But yeah, a lot of people have like this hate against him because he nerfed their class. But I thought he did a pretty decent job at World of Warcraft in terms of PvP. I mean, it's not easy to you got to balance two. You got to balance your PvP and you got to balance your PvE with the same skills. It makes it really difficult, and I think he did an adequate job doing that. So I was reading the forums, and a lot of people were like, were basically crying actually that he was going to be the lead designer for League of Legends. But it'll be interesting to see where he takes that game.
Oh, but which forums were you reading?
I was
they
reading
crying?
Reddit.
Oh, Reddit. Okay, so these weren't like. Was this the WoW page or the League of Legends page?
This was the League of Legends subreddit.
Okay.
I think that's where it was like originally announced or something like that. No, it could be from his. It could have been from his Twitter, and then it was a repost. But I mean, that's where I first saw it, and then I saw it on the WoW page, and then I saw it on like gaming or something. So.
Because one community could be really happy about it, and the other one could be, distraught.
The WoW teams are celebrating. Speaking of which, who's like the lead game director for WoW now? Do you guys know?
All right. Hold on. Before we get too involved in this, let me get my little spiel out of the way, and then we'll.
Get a resume?
Then we'll jump right back to that because that's kind of talking about WoW. So we'll talk about WoW and beta at that point, and speculation, tinfoil hat time, and all the lovely stuff. Yeah, just before we get too far into that tangent, and then it's like a half an hour later, like Minecraft.
Man,
okay.
I think these podcasts, it's basically the longer the better. Like something else.
Yeah. Okay. So how could? Okay. Let me. Okay. Whatever. All right. So let me try to get this briefly out of the way. Before Christmas, in fact, the weekend before Christmas, I got into a car accident. Unfortunately, I drove a Sonata, so her name was Sophia.
Wait. This isn't about you. This is about Quad. I thought it's not your turn yet.
No, it's my turn. Damn it! I never get my turn. My turn's gonna get lost.
Well,
I know
proceed.
it. All right.
I can't leave him with a cliffhanger, right?
Yeah.
He got in a car accident. He didn't survive. Spoilers.
Okay, no. So I got into a car accident. The car was written off as a total loss, which it was. So I got a big fat check for it, more than either my wife or myself were expecting, and I got a new one. And I only had like one scrape and a little bit of like airbag burn. Yeah, the airbag went off. It's very euphoric to remember in vivid detail every moment of an accident as if it was like a slideshow, one slide at a time. I won't say a fun experience. I will just call it unique, and we'll leave it at that. Too many holiday parties, as I'm sure both of you had, whether it's New Year's and or Christmas. And other than that, Quad over here getting me back on the Minecraft.
Oh wow, you're in the Minecraft too?
I was
yeah.
I was for a while, and then I stopped, and then I came back on the server that Quad is on, and a couple of other people have already built like mega automatic structures and buildings. I'm going, this is my kind of server. So the first night I was up till 3 o'clock in the morning. The second night I was up till 5 o'clock in the morning, and I said,
Nice.
"Yep, it's back." Except I'm 2 years older, and I don't like this. I like my sleep. So I've been moderating myself of going to bed, well, between midnight and 1 whenever I catch myself and the time.
Oh, nice.
And
Yeah, so I know how much you like Legos, and like Minecraft just like reminds me of Legos, except because you can interact with them.
except a game like Minecraft automatically put, like, if you're not OCD, you play Minecraft for a week, you will OCD for the rest of your life. You will OCD to like the max, because everything must match. Everything must be either equal or odd, and it must be this way or that way, and it's like because it will infuriate you to the ends of the earth, where you go destroy it all. You take a flint to a forest, you burn it down because you broke down one too many trees, and like, fuck it, kill it all. But no, I'm thoroughly enjoying my time. Dying way too many times to falling in lava that is way too high in the world, and losing all my tools that are enchanted, and doing all those lovely things. I will say, since the last time I played the game has gotten infinitely more complex, and infinitely more things have been added, and it kind of makes me cry when I look at Diablo 3 going, no man, give me some more Minecraft. There's things for me to explore, man. There's these things I need to go gather, like actual crafting things that make a difference. Oh, that's such a sad thing to say. So, I'll end my little thing there at that, with my omission that I'm back on the Minecraft, as well as playing Diablo 3 Reaper Souls and all that other kind of fun stuff. Those are the 2 games I've been playing off and on for the past couple of weeks. So to bring us back to the exact point we left off, I guess this will be the WoW section of the game, as I'm playing with my little, my Lego Imperial shuttle replica over here. We were talking about World of Warcraft and Ghostcrawler leaving and defecting to Riot to bring it down from the inside. I mean, moving there and exploring new job opportunities. Has nothing to do with bringing LoL down from the inside, so Heroes of the Storm could be a more profitable game in the end.
Oh man, conspiracy theories. Woo.
I know, tinfoil hat to the max.
But yeah, we actually found out the other day some pretty exciting news about World of Warcraft. So you're going to be able to pre-order the expansion, and when you pre-order it, I know, right? Surprise! You can pre-order the expansion. Woo! Okay, not a big deal. But the cool thing is, when you pre-order the expansion, you're gonna get your free boost to level 90 immediately when you pre-order it, and you're also gonna get the pet and the mount that are gonna come with the expansion that they haven't announced yet. But when they announce it, you're gonna get those. You're gonna get the mount, the pet, and you're gonna get the free boost to 90, so you can play around with your new tune, get accustomed to it. Kind of get it, geared, get your rotation down a little bit before the new expansion hits. Test out the new talent system.
I do feel like this is old news. I've heard this before. With the getting the 90 when you buy the expansion.
Yes. So we knew that you were gonna get a level 90, but we didn't know that you were gonna get it immediately when you pre-ordered the game. That was just announced just the other day. Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. So
that's actually significant.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So that's why I brought it up, right? So, so you can when you pre-order the game, you can kind of get used to your character a little bit before moving on to the new expansion. Test out your skills and abilities, whatnot. Get acquainted to a new guild. So that's really interesting. I'm really looking forward to this expansion. And also you're gonna be able the PTR. Oh, in that same post, they announced that the PTR is just around the corner. That pretty much confirms my theory. I think we talked about it a little bit last time, how I said that World of Warcraft is going to be after Diablo 3, and then after World of Warcraft is going to be Heroes of the Storm. That pretty much confirms my theory of what's going to be next on the PTR. Dread thought it was going to be Heroes of the Storm. I was confident it was going to be World of Warcraft, and then
I was hoping
this post pretty much confirms it's going to be World of Warcraft.
Yeah. Well, there's absolutely nothing stopping them from doing two things at once.
It's true. Well,
with
sort of?
Hearthstone maybe going live in a few months, and that'd be out of the way.
I'd say it's going to be sooner than a few months. I think it's almost pretty much open beta at this point. Like if you apply for a beta, like you just get it within a couple days.
Yes, you do.
So it's not like super hard to get into the Hearthstone beta at this point. But yeah, you're right. Nothing is stopping them from doing multiple betas at the same time. But
and
trying to bring my hopes up for Heroes of the Storm.
They do want to
just a little bit.
Yeah, they want to stagger their release dates, so they can kind of have like a profit, stable profit throughout the year.
Quarterly earnings.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but that pretty much confirms that World of Warcraft will be on the PTR very soon. The next expansion will. I don't think the expansion will. I think it's going to be the talent system and the boost to 90. I'm pretty sure they're going to be testing that out on the PTR realms as well. So that's interesting.
Yeah, that is, and
talent system getting a revamp again.
I don't know if they're touching the talent system because we don't know a lot about. Actually, we do know a lot about Warlords of Draenor. I don't remember if they're redoing the World of Warcraft talent system. I think they were pretty comfortable with what they have now. I really actually kind of like what they're doing with the talent system. When we were at BlizzCon, they didn't mention anything about the talents, so I imagine that they're not doing any type of overhaul. But they're definitely going to be adding a couple new skills to the talents that you're going to be able to choose from. You're going to have, I think it's the level 100? No. Yeah, it is. Right? The new max level is 100? Because you're going to get a free boost to 90. So you're going to get level 100 talents, and so you're going to get a couple new abilities to play with. And they might, switch around some of the talents, but I don't think there's going to be any type of massive overhaul like we've seen in almost every other expansion. Burning Crusade had a huge overhaul. Wrath had a huge overhaul. Kata had a huge overhaul. This had a huge overhaul. But I think this is gonna be the first expansion where they're like, we like our talent system. I think they're also kind of like, this is kind of a theory, but they could be just like getting fed up with like changing their system all the time.
Yeah, it's like how many times can you reinvent something before it just becomes another iteration of what you've done previously? It's like pick something, if it works out more than halfway decently, just keep it, go with it, just iterate on that.
Mm-hmm.
If it works, don't fix it.
Yeah. And to be fair, this is one of the more enjoyable talent systems that I've had. I did, obviously, I'm a vanilla fanboy, so I do like the original talent system. I'm a kind of guy that likes to do kind of like weird, wacky builds, and there isn't a whole lot of customization in these new talents. Like, it seems like there is, but in a sense that there is, but there's just not enough to choose from. Like, if we had like maybe like double the amount of options we have currently, like that would be pretty sweet, and that would be super customizable. But I don't feel like there's quite enough yet. But obviously we're gonna get another row of talents at this point, so every new expansion, I guess we're gonna get a little bit more customizable with your characters, which is really good. And they're probably gonna add new glyphs. They're obviously gonna add new abilities too for the new expansion. So,
How do you feel about the new war zones or armory, whatever they were called? Physical big place to build.
oh, the garrisons.
Yeah,
That's the
garrisons.
word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those. I'm not super excited about those, honestly. What I was probably most excited about, so the garrisons are basically this.
So says the non-Minecraft player. We must build. We must build everything.
Yeah. See, I'm not a big fan of like phasing, and that whole system is going to be using the phasing system, and it seems like a little wonky. I mean, it's probably cool. Like if I play it, it's probably super sweet, but it doesn't sound appealing to me personally. Also, it's not like you get to just like choose some ground and then like plant a house there. It's basically predetermined locations on a map, and then upgrade it from there. Yeah, with phasing. Yeah, so it's not like super customizable. It's predetermined, and so that kind of like cheated me away. But there are cool features of this expansion. Don't get me wrong. One of the big ones is they're adding flexible raids to. I think they're adding it to like. Don't quote me on this, but they're adding it to a couple more difficulties. So you're gonna be able to at least do it in like normal. I don't think you're gonna be able to do it in heroic yet. I know that you're not gonna be able to do it in the hardest difficulty.
Yeah, they're basically making flex mode a standard part of everything except the last tier, which I think they were calling Mythic, and which was also locked at 20. Like you had to have 20 people for Mythic. But everything else
sounds right.
But everything else was like a 10 to 20 flex.
So that has me, because like I played World of Warcraft for a long time. I had a super successful guild for my server. It was super fun, and then things kind of happened. We had to depart our ways, but being a guild master and having to to cut people from your raid, or like having to pug people from trade, was just super stressful, and it always burnt at least like 30 minutes to an hour trying to like figure out who's gonna come, who's gonna get cut, who's gonna there's gonna be drama because somebody doesn't get their spot, just like huge problems all the time. And this was a low pop server, which made it even more difficult to fill these slots, and so that has me really excited. And then another thing that has me really excited is just the free character boost, actually. And, I know that like like everyone's gonna be pretty excited, like, yay, we all get free 90s, woohoo, 90 for you, 90 for you, Oprah giving out free 90s. But that actually has me really excited, because we'll be able to bring back some of my old friends. They can kind of they haven't been playing, they may didn't like Miss Pandaria, maybe they didn't like Cataclysm, but this is going to give them another shot, being caught up, and we can all start together for this new expansion. and kind of push forward, push through the content together. And people, even if they come later into the expansion and they want to join you, they still have got an adequate level character to, come raid with you. Like, you don't have to do that 1 to 90 huge gap. Like that's such a huge time sink, and this is gonna really eliminate a lot of that problem, and get them playing with you again, essentially. And I think that's really exciting for me.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the single. If there's ever a time for me to get back into WoW, or I think the more appropriate term is if there's ever a thing that they could do to get me to come back to WoW after like a 2-year plus hiatus, it would be exactly that. Just a free boost. Because it's not that I don't mind the grind as far as experience leveling. That's probably the only one grind I kind of don't mind at all. In fact, maybe I like, because I always knew how to do the quests and take advantage of them, and with all the quest hubs and everything. But still, it's just such a long, it's such a long initial process if you're doing it by yourself, that just to get it done with and just start working on your crafting immediately and then getting doing your 5-mans, I think that is a big selling feature for this expansion. And it's such a big feature. I think they were also doing surveys as well, asking how much would you actually pay for that as a potential service. Like, would you pay $10 for it? Would you pay $15 for it? $20? Like, whoa.
I don't think that was ever a thing
that
that I've heard of. I know that they were talking about adding like extra character slots for a fee, but they never mentioned anything about like just selling straight up like leveling.
Well, I
like,
think I was watching a couple other YouTube videos, and I think it was part of a survey sent out to whatever WoW players they sent it out to. I don't think it was made a big deal because usually you answer it, but you can't take away too much from it. I mean, it means that they could be floating the idea, but until you know anything else, it's kind of dead away, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting, and even if you give it a thought, like, okay, if a lot of people buy it and they want to get another character or two, why wouldn't they make it a service for like $15? I mean,
yeah.
It's not like, yes, they would, in a weird way, you think, okay, they're invalidating all their work, all the leveling work, all the process they've done over the past couple of years, but with
competing with the people that pay for it outside from other not so safe services.
Yeah, there's also that, but also, you know what? It's only a boost to 90, so it's not like the work they're putting into Warlords of Draenor is going to go to waste as far as the leveling content. So I think they may do it if they see it's popular enough and people actually ask for it.
I think if they do that, they're probably going to be going free to play very soon. I think if that situation ends up happening where they're going to allow boosts to 90 for money, I think they just announced they have a new mount. By the way, I forgot to talk about this too, but they have a new mount in the Blizzard store. They just announced the other day as well, and it actually looks pretty sick. It's like a 2-headed chimera, and it's got like crazy big jetpacks on the back. It looks funky, but it actually looks really sweet. So I could definitely see WoW going free to play pretty soon, and we've talked about this for quite a while now with the new Blizzard store. I feel like if they add that feature where they can pay to get to level 90, I think WoW would probably be going free to play pretty soon.
Yes, and the new mount is called the Iron Sky Reaper, and I'm going to close that window so we don't hear the barking coming through my microphone. So continue on. I'll be back in a second.
But
oh, he meant an actual window and not a Windows window.
Oh, dude. Okay. So we thought the same thing. Good.
Okay, that's funny. Is it like on a dog's site or something? Looking to adopt a new poodle.
I didn't even know he had a dog. Dre, do you have a dog?
No, it's some neighbor's dog, but the window was open. And I don't even know why it was open, because it's freezing outside. But, okay. No, window is handled, dog has been silenced. Back on track.
You killed it?
Yeah!
No, he just silenced it.
Oh, okay.
Humane Society. No, don't come after me, please. No.
Oh, jeez. Let's not go down that route. You're talking about the mount.
Oh, I was?
The
Oh.
mount.
Yeah, you were.
I had a disappointing mount.
Really?
I play a druid. Okay? So
Mhm.
that's cool.
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to turn into a dragon.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you you bought
I
that
learned
one.
I learned the hard way that you can't turn into a dragon
Well,
while you're falling. Like you
Oh,
can
yeah.
turn into a bird because
Yeah.
it's instant cast.
yeah.
And I hit the ground real hard.
Yeah, they should really like
Splat,
make that a
splat.
feature.
Splat.
I'm like,
Goes a
oh,
druid.
this is gonna be really cool. So I unbound my bird because I thought I'd never turn into a bird ever again. And I put my new bind up and was flying around. And then, you know, I tend to just pop in and out of form when I want to fall down farther, and instead of just flying downwards. And I didn't stop falling.
Whoops. Well, luckily you have that mount on like all your characters now. So.
Yes, that's
Oh, another thing they announced with this expansion was they're adding a new thing. It's called the Toy Box, and it's gonna hold like all your like gizmos, like your non-essential items. So, I imagine that's probably gonna be like just your vanity items, mass orb of deception.
Oh, like the key ring.
Yeah, it's a key ring for vanity items.
Ah,
So.
is there a Pokemon belt yet?
Pokemon belt? I don't think so. But I know that they were looking into more feature, like adding more like things to store your things that aren't like essential or that aren't, you don't pick up and stuff.
So would your pets be in your toy box?
Your pets? No, they have their own. They have their own like pet section now.
Oh yes, that's right. It has been a while since I've done that because you can cage them to bring them out.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess
And same with-
your Pokemon belt's sort of unlimited then.
Yeah. And you can hold as many of those pets as you want too. So you can have like 5 rabbits or something.
Ah, I have Chrominius.
And there was actually an interesting like server gold transfer using the pets and caging them. I don't remember exactly how it went, but there's a thing, and they also have the mount stable now too, so
Whoa.
you don't have
It's been
to
a while.
carry your mounts in your bag. Yeah, it's been a while
Yeah.
for me too. I'm looking forward to this expansion. Definitely gonna play it. Definitely gonna play it when it comes out. So.
Yeah, my wife.
Check it
My
out.
wife is actually still persistently playing it. A couple of her former work friends started playing, and she got to the group. She's playing a warrior. It's interesting. I'll be playing Minecraft or Diablo 3. I'll look over, no more than 4 feet away from me. She's playing WoW, and she's going, "Who pulled? Who pulled that?" Because she's the tank, and you're like, "Oh, I'm playing with idiots. Like, why are you pulling?" It's like, I can't do this much damage. You're an idiot. You're gonna die. Death. There, you get what you deserve. I get tanked now. Like, aw. Like all the old 5-man stresses. She's currently in Mordon, trying to get out of there to. Oh god, what's after Mordon? That's what, 40s, 50s, old
Like
Stratham and
Stratholme?
Skullmans. Stratham and
Yeah.
Skullmans.
Oh, Strath and Skullmans were reworked, and now they're like level 35 to 44.
That's right.
I do know that.
Oh snap!
I couldn't remember the new levels, but I did remember that they were reworked.
Oh well.
Yes.
See, that's how long it's been.
Zul'Farrak?
No, she
Yeah.
did that already. That's like
that
your.
was changed a bit too.
that's like your entry, like mid 30s to 40. It's like just after the old SM, I guess, suppose. But even SM got merged into 2 wings instead of the old 4. So.
Yeah, that's right. Holy smokes.
Yeah, a lot has changed. Any
Moving
other?
on to Diablo.
Oh, I was actually about to say any other news. Nope. Move it along. Nothing to see here. Let's move to the fiery pits of hell. Wait, what?
Into the fiery pits of hell.
What's new with Diablo 3? Well, they just had a beta patch. It was mainly a balancing, tweaking type of patch with the classes. There were a few things they did with certain game points. One thing that was brought to my attention was, at least for now, you know, they still have a month and change before the game comes out, so things can change. Infernal brimstones, which kind of had no purpose except for BOA amulets at this point, are now being linked to the Mystic for legacy items, which basically means all pre-ROS legendaries are going to require the brimstone for the Mystic, which is actually pretty good for a couple of different reasons. One, you can get them now for your items. And
hold on, does that include like the original like I got a spear that does magic fine that you can't get anymore? Does that include? And then they changed it. Then they changed the stats, but they still kept the old one. So I got like a grandfathered one that has magic fine. So you're gonna be able to craft that spear, like the original copy of that spear, like before this patch?
Well, no, well, you'll be able to carry it over, and then you're gonna and then you'll just have to use brimstones for the Mystic rerolling, as far as that's concerned, because they, because if their drop rates have been a big issue, and the closed beta patch and still are to this day. Unless like somehow you get like magic fine for like a grandfathered item, then it kind of helps a little bit, but it's still RNG for the sake of RNG. But it's good because you can get brimstones now, and you can get pretty good supply, and you can just reroll your what will be legacy items once you move to RS. So that's a good change, because you know, with the newer legendaries coming down the pipe, even though it may take you a while to get them, you don't want to have to look at 2 legendaries, say, I really want to use this one, but it has like one crappy stat, and you'd have to re-roll it, and then you look at the other legendary item going, I don't know if I'm ever going to use this one, but if I break it down, I can get the other one up to full power, but this is a sucky decision I have to make. Because it's not like one is crap, and you easily convert it to a Forgotten Soul, which is the newer legendary mat, and then use that to reroll the first legendary item and get it to full potential. So I think that was a better change than not. They fixed a couple of different things. They introduced a couple of different icons as far as the elemental damage and where it's going. Nothing too dramatic as far as like adding new things to the game. I think we passed that line in the sand a long time ago as far as them adding more content before release. And with the PTR essentially being a mass stress test, I think the biggest question for at least us as fan site owners and runners and such as that, is there actually going to be a mass closed beta invite for the game, or are they going to do an open beta, or are they going to do anything at all? I think that's a big question that we have not received an answer on yet.
It almost seems like it's coming out so soon that I can't see them doing like an open beta, like within a reasonable amount of time, like a 1 week open beta, maybe. Like they might do like a weekend, like here you go.
Yeah,
for this weekend you can come play.
You know, now you say that, it reminds me of when they did that for the D3. It was, and the funny thing about that one is, it was put together, like we were told about 8 hours before they were going to do it or it was like a day. They told us a day they were going to do it, and then they told us about 8 hours before they're actually going to open the servers, like, hey, start advertising it. They'll cause like a mass flux because they want to do like a weird stress test weekend type deal. And it was madness that weekend as far as like server and lag and stability, but enough people got on and tested it. I think they got what they wanted, but yeah, just building on that fact.
They did change Hellfire rings this patch.
They finally added a new one and all that kind of stuff.
Everyone's quiet. But it does the same fire animation that Diablo does. When he has that like AoE fireball attack, and it's actually pretty sweet. And it still does like the EXP bonus and everything. So they tweaked a couple of the legendaries to make them a little bit better.
Yeah, I think it does 45% more experience instead of the 35. So they upgraded that, and that ability that can be triggered does 200% weapon damage, if I remember correctly. So it ain't that bad if you have a decent weapon and you kind of work it in.
Yeah, not bad at all. I did read another post concerning Diablo, and it was a post basically saying, you know, we don't like your BOA system. Are you going to change it? And they said, we are comfortable. Basically, we're comfortable with the current BOA system. However, you know, we are still developing it. Are we still developing it at this time? I mean, there's a chance it could change, but from the sound of and the tone of what they said, they're not going to change it. BOA is going to go live. I am 99% confident BOA gear is going to go live. It might change after release. You know, they might get a bunch of feedback, people saying, we don't like this. But at its current state, I'm very confident it's going to go live.
Okay. I don't like that myself.
I'm not a huge fan of it either, but they have made improvements to it through the course of the beta. Like they added crafting patterns for green gear and for set items, and that was pretty much my biggest concern was with BOA gear was how am I going to get set items at this point? Like it's going to be impossible. Like without trading, it's going to be so hard to get a full set, and they added the BOA pattern for set items, and that's going to help you complete those sets. And they drop very frequently, at least when I was testing on the PTR. So, and I think you can even get them off like Heraldric caches. So
yeah, that's how I was getting a lot on mine.
So, I wonder, is it going to take your current gear that you own, your legacy gear, and bind it to you?
No.
Because I have legacy Nats, should I be taking it off my Demon Hunter?
Well, it's bind on account.
Yeah, I don't know how. I think the legacy stuff will be fine. But everything that you like put in the auction house, see, that's like the weird thing. Is like we don't know exactly how it's gonna work out, or at least I haven't seen a post on how it's gonna work out, because it's not just BOA going live you're excused. It's not BOA just going live with Reaper of Souls. It's also the auction house closing down a week before the expansion comes out. So all that gear and items and stuff, that's gonna be taken off. So it's going to be a mass exodus from the auction houses first, and then a week later, BOA is going to come through with all the gear. So they haven't explicitly done a blog post explaining how that process is going to go. They're probably still working on that, but it would be nice if they did have something with that. As well as, I think they still need to have one more good solid post on the artisans, just explaining like what the final features are, what are the final like ideas and concepts, and just explain everything fully, because there's a lot that people are like, they're just buying the expansion or at least pre-purchasing it, and kind of going in blind. It's like the only thing you know is like what you're getting with like the collector's edition and all the fancy items, but we don't have like a defined list of this is what you're getting, this is how it works, and that's. I won't say it's not that it's bad. It's just I hate having a mystery box when you buy a game, because that's what happened with the Diablo 3 the first time around. Is like we all thought like PvP was a part of the game. I mean, we were shown it many years over at major gaming events, and then it was just taken out. And there were a couple of other major items that were just taken out and just never given back, and they were just half-heartedly excused away after the fact. So it'd be nice if we just had a solid feature list before the game went live.
Yeah. Well, from what I was testing on PTR was pretty much everything that was Legacy did not become BOA. The only thing that became BOA that was from Legacy were like crafting materials. So I don't know if that's going to change by the time it goes live, but
Okay, but so let's say they do the bind on account thing. When this happens, Diablo then becomes a game that you play, maybe with your friends. You finish the game, and then without PvP in the picture, you're looking at grinding for items that you can't trade, or upgrading your one and only character, or like your one character that you're playing, because your account has everything bound to it. So why wouldn't you buy the console version
of the game?
Of the game instead of the PC version? If it's going to be a small social thing between you and your friends, instead of, hey, I'm gonna go play on the internet, I can compete with other people and do this and that, why wouldn't you just buy the console version of the game? Because it's gonna be something you'll sit down, you'll play through, you'll beat it, and then it sort of loses its touch after a while because you don't feel like you're working towards something, and it doesn't have that social trading aspect.
So consoles suck, so that's why.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's that. Absolutely.
Well, to answer the question, there's actually plenty of people out there who had the console version and were testing it out and were saying, "Oh my God, loot 1.5 because that's what the consoles have, or what they all have, is amazing," and they really liked it, and they were playing that over the PC just because it was an enjoyable experience. You could actually, as you were finding gear, as you were leveling, you could actually use it, and it was actually good stuff. And it was growing with you. It had like the scaling, the level scaling ability. So you found the Leorix at 50, it was level 50. It had all that, like everything that we know in the PTR and in beta. It had all that. So it was just, I don't know. It's like to like, from my point of view, to thoroughly answer your question, I have a bigger philosophical beef with how Diablo 3 is in general. It basically boils down to, if even though Diablo 3 is a gear hunting game, and people and the purists and the people who've played this game forever, like 10, 15 plus years at this point, will say it's a gear hunting game. That's the whole point. There's the only end game is the gear. I'm like, but doesn't that really make it a shallow experience? Because as I was saying before to a couple of people I know, other YouTubers, podcasters, and such, if you make gear the high holy end game of like Diablo 3 or Path of Exile or Torchlight, you have to put in so many weird time sinks, like artificial barriers, that if you put in one too many, it kind of breaks the game. And when I look at Diablo 3, I see all those time sinks, or all those artificial barriers, and I'm going like, that's like, why are they needed? It's like they're not needed. It's like they could just make it more open and just make the gear more accessible. That's just my perspective.
I'm fine with them all. You can make it as time sinking as you possibly want. That's cool. But there should be a goal that you're looking towards some sort of ladder system, something to compare yourself with other people, whether it's just the amount of experience you have, or PvP, more than just the brawling system where you actually have to go and find somebody, usually on a forum, just to get somebody to play with you. You can't just join a public game called Duels or something and go with the concept of, I'm gonna duel these people. So you, if you're gonna be grinding out what you want for your character, you have all these time sinks, and you play it a lot, you feel really good about yourself, and you got just a super awesome character. And all it does is grind more efficiently.
Yeah, for me, like, everyone's, like, with the different type of endgames that are coming to Diablo 3, it's going to open up a lot of different endgames for different people. For me, my endgame was hardcore, and, being, like, the first to, like, clear Torment. Like, that was, Torment 6. Like, being the first to clear the Torment 6 on the hardest difficulty on hardcore, right? Like, that's, like, the ultimate goal in the game. That's kind of what's going to keep me going playing Diablo 3, I think. And obviously, PvP would really help, but they've pretty much been very clear at this point that PvP is not going to be coming to this expansion, at least not on release.
It's sort of an afterthought.
And, that sucks, but, what can you do?
Yeah, and I think to a degree, some of them don't like the concept of PvP. Not from the perspective they don't like PvP itself, but they don't want... It's like they see what happened in WoW, and they just don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, well, you got to pick and choose what content you're gonna add for the expansion, right? You only have a certain time frame to release a game. You have schedules and stuff, and they pick content, and they min-max their time. So they only have X amount of time to release the expansion, and so they're gonna add like as much like time sinks as they can without as much time that they need to invest in it. So stuff like cursed chests was a good example for that. Like mystics, like being able to re-roll stats, just different things that eat up time, that don't take a lot of like new artwork, new levels of coding, stuff like that. Stuff they can kind of add easily, and PvP is not one of those. So
No.
that was probably far on their list of things to add.
When I was looking at like the riffs initially when they announced them, and I sort of just reading through them, I kind of got the idea that these would be, or could be, and should be, maybe that's just an opinion, something that is sort of like an endless pit where it just gets harder and harder and harder, and after a certain level, like you've completed this level, go to the next wave or finish now. And then there would be almost like a scoreboard you could compare yourself to, who has the best record, how many times, like how far they've went through the system, and then you can see how well you're doing. Like somebody killed 700 waves, and that's the best that's ever been done, and you can sort of compare yourself to it, and that's just almost like a solo PvE race where you're comparing yourself to other people.
Yeah,
I think that's topic's been brought up before.
That's been brought up a couple of times. But they all kind of revolve around the same concept of where there's a campaign mode, there's a adventure mode, and then that along with all the other ideas, and there's been a lot of them, and a lot of them are actually decent. They're not too far whimsical, like out there. They're actually grounded. They're kind of rooted in old Diablo 2 tradition, and they would all kind of fall under a third mode, which would just be challenge mode, where it would just be PvE challenge, but you wager yourself against really the entirety of the Diablo 3 player base as well as your friends and or clan, if you're part of one. And it would be a cool thing, and I feel they need to add something like that. Not because we necessarily need an end game, but there needs to be something competitive, because you can only do something by yourself, grinding for gear so long before you reach that point with your gear where you reach like 95% max potential of your gear or 99% max potential of your gear, before you either need to find the perfect gear, which you're probably never going to find at all ever because RNG doesn't like you, or it requires you to reroll your one piece of gear so many times it's not economically possible for you to ever get that many Forgotten Souls and the gold with legendaries in RS to actually do it. So you're eventually going to hit that gear wall where you're not going to be able to get any better with your character. And as soon as you're done with that, you can still go out for gear for other characters, but then it's also the same point, it's like you're stuck in this thing. And I guess I'm just not that person where I could continue going character after character after character, gearing up. I guess I kind of fell out of that mindset with as far as like WoW was concerned, or I never had it because I only played 2 characters. I'm not one of these people who has 10 max characters, but I did get the Paragon 100 because that was an attainable goal. You start at 100, you knew you started at 1 and you ended at 100. There was an end goal, but even with that, I don't know. It's like, how much life is there going to be in this game unless they're holding back certain elements, which is what they're probably doing. They're probably going to patch in major elements, or at least we're hoping, or I'm hoping, say 3 months after release, or if it needs like a month to get stable, 4 months, and then 6 to 8 months after there's another addition and another thing to do. I just hope that there's more major things coming down the pipeline than just class tweaks, balances, and bug fixes.
Yeah. So a concept like this is almost already in a Blizzard game. I mean, the challenge mode in WoW is sort of like this, right?
It's more or less based
really.
around instances.
It's more of a race, right?
Yeah, I mean it's nice because it's competitive, right? You know, you can see who's the best on your server, the best times, but it's not like endless by any means.
Yeah, but the thing is, it doesn't have to be endless. I mean, you can make it like, okay, so if 20 waves, okay, you're done. So it puts it at an end, and then you just try to do it as fast as you can. It then becomes a speed test, which is also a measure of your gear and your skill, because you have to have good core. If you're doing it in a party, especially, you have to have good coordination within your party, good skill variety, and good and decent enough gear to actually pull off what you want to do. So it can even just be like 10 waves, 20 waves, 30 waves. It doesn't have to be an endless cycle.
So said challenge mode would be fun in Diablo. You could, gather 3 of your other buddies and race to do a challenge.
Yeah,
well, I'd be down with that. That's the sort of thing that I like to do when you feel like you're competing for something.
One of the most popular opinions going on around on the forums is a talk of PvE, PvP, where you compete against other people, doing PvE stuff. So you kill like 50 monsters or whatever. Exactly what you're talking about, right? Like you're competing with other people by killing monsters, and that's a very popular topic that is going around in the forums. That's definitely another thing that Blizzard is listening into. But they've done their homework. They know what they have time for and what they can implement and stuff. I imagine they are probably looking to some type of PvE, PvP. But I don't expect anything from the release of this expansion. Maybe around the corner.
Well, no, obviously not at launch, just because launch is, pretty quick.
Yeah.
It's coming around the corner, like, what is it, within 6 weeks or something?
No, it's
March away or something?
March
I don't know.
March
I think
25th.
it's
pretty close.
Yeah, it's a couple months away.
Yeah, it's let's looking at the calendar. It's like 8 to
So
10
8
weeks out.
8, 9.
Yeah. But you know, it's funny because when Blizzard got owned by Activision, you know, they bought them, and then you know, they said, you know, Activision is not you know, impacting our games at all, our game design philosophies, but I don't think that's true. I think that because they have quarters, you know, they have quarterly things. They have to they're required to release X amount of games per year, and I think that is actually hindering their game design because they don't have as much time as they like. Old Blizzard, they had infinite time to design stuff like Diablo 3. Like they spent like what in 3 years? No, wow, 3 years. No, like 10 years designing Diablo 3. You know, they reworked it, they scrapped it, picked it back up again. Now it's just like they're like required every year to release like an expansion, basically.
Yeah, old Diablo 3 I think went through, as far as we can pick out, at least 4 major revisions where like core systems were totally redone, and with Reaper of Souls actually adding the 5th, because everything from Diablo 3 is getting reworked as far as a core system upwards. So yeah, it's like 4 major redos. RS is like the 5th one, hopefully the last big one they can actually work on expanding the game.
Yeah, they had a lot on their plate for the ROS expansion. I think they did deliver on a lot of it, but obviously they couldn't implement everything that they would have liked to. Like, believe me, PvP is like high on their list. Like when we were at BlizzCon, you know, we listened to all of the talks about Diablo 3. You know, the developers clearly said like every day people ask us, where's PvP in Diablo 3? Like they know that that's what people want, but they want to make sure that their PvE experience is polished before they move on to the next milestone. So, like I said, I wish that they would, you know, give themselves more time, but they can't. And even though they said, you know, Activision isn't affecting their design philosophies at all, I think it is inadvertently. So, my 2 cents on that. But we should probably move on. Any other last comments about Diablo?
Consoles suck.
Consoles for the lose. No. I got a lot of friends that actually play console Diablo, and yeah, they're kind of noobs at the game.
Am I guilty? Of course. I played Grand Theft Auto 5.
PC Master Race. But Hearthstone, yes. So...
Okay, I get to like drink something for like 10 minutes because I haven't played Hearthstone in like 8 weeks, so I know nothing.
Alright, so...
This is all on you.
I'll start off. So, big patch. Well, it's not big in content by any means, but it did have some crazy changes. So, the meta has changed so rapidly. Like, since the release of Hearthstone, what people are playing in their competitive decks have changed so fast. Like, if you take a look at like Magic the Gathering, nothing even compares to how quickly people are making the competitive decks to counter different decks. And it's actually really fascinating about Hearthstone, which I think is probably the most intriguing thing about it. You know, you've got what, 300 cards in this whole set, and you know, you've got thousands of people playing this game, and you know, there's only so many combinations of decks. But you know, even though there's only like 300 cards, and you know, you're only limited to 30 cards in your deck, there's still all these, so many different variations of these super competitive decks every week. It's really fascinating about the game. But they just released a patch yesterday in North America, 2 days ago in Europe, that changed a couple of the important cards. One of them, I can just list all of them. So, Lady Sylvanas went up from a 5-drop to a 6-drop. So you're gonna see that a little bit later. It was really powerful as a 5-drop, just because it was a 5/5 for 5 that almost always netted you an extra card. It was hard. It's kind of hard to play around, and it was just really good value. And you could do things like you could do Brawl, and then you can drop Sylvanas, and then you'll automatically get the character that's dropped, or that the last pick character. You're gonna get that guy. So from Brawl, so you can't do that anymore. That got nerfed. They nerfed a lot of the OTK warrior. So OTK stands for one turn kill. That involves usually just being able to kill your opponent in one turn. Warriors actually had 3 different ways of dropping you from full health to 0 in one turn. 3 different ways to do that.
This is definitely with 10 mana, right?
Yeah. Let me think here.
Or at least like really late in the game.
Right. Yeah. It was definitely 10 mana. I think the earliest one was 9 mana. So they nerfed both builds. There is only one 1TK turn now warrior, and that isn't so strong anymore. They nerfed a lot of the essential cards they needed for the decks, so that so warriors is pretty much non-existent in competitive Hearthstone right now. But some of the warrior changes they did: charge went from a 0-drop, give a creature charge, to a 3-drop, give a friendly minion +2 attack and charge, and that's a huge difference. Basically, charge is worthless now. Like, nobody is going to run charge anymore. 3-drop was way too much, and I think that was a little bit of an overkill on that card. So I don't think we'll be seeing any competitive decks running charge anymore. But
I actually don't use charge. Didn't at all.
Then
my warrior deck.
Yeah. Well, one of the the OTK warriors. So the thing about the OTK warrior deck was not only were there 3 different ways you could kill people in one turn, you drop somebody from 30 to 0, but all 3 methods could have all the cards do that in the same deck. So it was just absurdly powerful. Like if the warrior could hold off till like turn 10, like you pretty much guaranteed lost. You can run. There's a card. It's called Alexstrasza. Set a player's health to 15, and then you run. What's it called? Gorehowl. You run Gorehowl, 7-power weapon, and then you run charge. And Alexstrasza is an 8/8. So when you drop charge on her, she hits for 8, and then your Gorehowl hits for 7, and then they're dead. Likewise, you can also do a very popular one was the giant build. So you would run double molten giant, and once you hit 10 health, they cost 0, and then you drop the Warsong Commander, which gave all your creatures charge, and so that made you so you can drop 2 8/8s, attack with both of them, Brewmaster one of them back, drop it again, attack with it again, and then drop another Brewmaster and bring back the other one and attack with it again. So that's a ton of damage. 16, 32. Yeah, that's right. And 32 damage one turn from Molten Giants. And then you could also run Worgen if you wanted to. Worgen with Inner Rage twice, and then copy it with the copy creature card. What's it called?
Faceless Manipulator?
Faceless Manipulator, yeah. So you can make like you drop a Worgen down, and then you Inner Rage it, Faceless Manipulator, so now you have 2 of them, and then just attack with both of them. And so the warrior had tons of different ways to kill you in one turn. It was crazy, so they nerfed that to the ground. Now there's only one way you can do it, and it's with the Worgen, which is probably the least easy way to do the OTK. So I don't think we're going to be seeing warrior in competitive Hearthstone for a really long time anymore. But that's not the only deck that they nerfed. They also nerfed mages. So mages were kind of a big problem just because they had such long reach with their spells. So Pyroblast dealt 10 damage on 1 card for 8 mana. That got bumped up to 10 mana now. So you have to wait an extra 2 turns to pull off your combo, which is actually really hard for a mage because they don't have a whole lot of survivability. Now they do have Ice Block, but hunters are actually seeing a ton of play right now. They're super synergistic. So they bumped Release the Hounds to a 2 mana card, which allows you to play things like Leroy Jenkins, which gives your opponent 2 creatures, and it gives you a 6-power creature on the board for 4. So when you drop Leroy, you can unleash the hounds, and you can drop Sea Giants, which are 8/8, which cost 1 less for each creature on the board. So you force them to at least get an additional 2 creatures, so they can just have, if they just have 2 creatures on the board, only 2, you give them 2 extra with the Leroy, and then you can unleash the hounds, and then it's absurd. There's just so much power, and when you unleash the hounds, you can drop like a scavenger hyena, and then just like throw the hounds into like the whelps that the Leroy spawns, and it's just what makes a deck good is this balance between synergy and power. And when you have a very powerful card that is also super synergistic with your deck, you're going to have one of the strongest decks in the game. And so right now, because they changed the Unleash the Hounds mana cost from 4 to 2, it allows you to get off these absurd chains of just damage out of nowhere, because Unleash the Hounds, the minions all have charge, and Leroy has charge. And then you drop 8-drop Sea Giants, and then you have these hyenas that are also like, basically they come to play like 8 drops with like 6 toughness, and it's just all this damage comes out of nowhere. We're seeing it a lot in competitive play. And Flare. So this, what brings me to the Hunter build is that Flare is actually a very popular card right now, because it's a 1-drop, it cantrips, so it draws you a card when you play it, it destroys all secrets, and all stealth minions lose stealth. So that's really, really, really strong against Mage right now. So Mage is basically on the back burner. They got that nerf from Pyroblast, and now Hunters are seeing a ton of competitive play right now with Flare, being very in almost every Hunter deck right now, because they want to have that edge against Hunters, and then it's just like a bonus that like if they fight a Mage, it's like, well, you don't have Ice Block anymore, or you have like cool 2 secrets, bro, like they're gone. Flare. It doesn't really cost them anything to do that. It's just like free, like goodbye Ice Block, and then I kill you, and with like this crazy damage that comes out of nowhere. So since mages and warriors are kind of not seen so often right now, a lot of the competitive Hearthstone right now involves Paladin, like a healing Paladin. So they've got some crazy heals with like Lay on Hands. They've got really efficient cards like Tyrion. They've got probably their strongest asset actually is the Equality Pyromancer combo, which lets you clear the board no matter at what state for 4 mana. Just like, oh, cool army of dudes, they're all dead. That's really strong. Equality Consecration's really strong. It keeps your guys, clears their board. It's super good, and we're seeing a lot of Paladins right now. Priest is actually making a slow return, I think, but they're still not quite as good as the other cards. So now that Zerg decks got nerfed a little bit, they nerfed Defender of Argus, so it's got a little less power, so it's not seeing as much play. It's still seeing a lot of play. It's just not as powerful. Also, the Blood Imp got nerfed. It now basically does the Priestess of Titania ability now, so at the end of your turn you grant another minion +1 health, and it also doesn't have a power anymore. So Zerg Warlocks got nerfed a little bit. So with less Zerg, Priests are starting to make a little bit more appearance. I'm playing Priest personally. I love Priests, but I don't think they're quite there yet. But so right now, Paladin, Priest, and I think Warlock and Shaman are also very prominent right now. The Warlock was already really absurd with Lord Draxus being able to reset your life to 15, and then usually ran Alexstrasza as well, being able to set your life to 15 again. And the Siphon Soul, it's like a control Warlock. It's so powerful. I think we're gonna be seeing that a lot in the dominant Hearthstone as well. Now, with all that,
take a breath.
Yeah.
That was a long-winded speech, but
No love for the Novice Engineer.
Novice Engineer, that got nerfed as well.
To a 1/1. Ugh.
It's a now 1/1. It's still actually really good. I think a lot of people are overreacting to how good the Novice Engineer is. Basically, it says
Token
uh,
overreaction. Roar.
Well,
Rage. Quit Blizzard.
Novice Engineer is a good card in Arena. Specifically Arena. Like it just because a lot of the times in any sort of limited format, you're gonna want deck thinners to get through the junk that you got. Novice Engineer is that guy.
well, yeah. Well, I mean, you're gonna want that in constructed decks too. But I mean, at its worst, it's basically a skip, or you play your turn 2, and then they have to play their hero ability to deal with your 1/1, which is just basically says skip from turn 2 to turn 3, which is actually a lot more powerful than it seems.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, hold on. And we are cutting right here.
Robert just hung up.
No, I didn't. No, I
Robert,
didn't.
you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm
Okay.
here. I didn't hang up. Apparently, Wi-Fi went to shit for a second. I don't know. I was
Okay.
listening, all of a sudden it went silent. I'm going, huh? Okay.
Yeah. I thought it was my end. I was like, oh, that's weird.
Okay. So do you remember where you were?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So
we will just for a timestamp. We start from beta talking here in 3, 2, 1.
So with the Novice Engineer change, it kind of leads me to like this whole patch happened while a major tournament was being is happening, where Kripparrian, Trump, and other Artosis, they're all going to this big tournament. I think it's in Berlin, and this all happened while they were on the flight to Berlin. Now, this isn't the first time this happened. This happened the first time this tournament happened as well. So basically, the way Kripparrian put it was, there is going to be a lot of innovation in a very short amount of time for this tournament, because it is now live in EU. So, they have to do these decks. Like people are seeing like this hunter deck just blow up. So we don't know if we're going to see this hunter deck in this tournament, because people want to play things that they're familiar with. But a lot of those decks now got nerfed. Like if they were planning to play with that warrior deck, the OTK warrior, they can't do that anymore. Like if they play with that OTK warrior deck that was super OP just like a day or two ago, they will lose that tournament. So we don't know if we're going to be seeing hunter showing up in this major IGN tournament or not, which I think is going to be really fascinating to see how that turns out. Okay, I think that's all I have to say about Hearthstone.
Arbitrarily clapping. Thank you for knowing all that, and for me being woefully underprepared, knowing some of that but not all of that. Quad, I know you play a lot of Hearthstone as well. Is there anything you'd like to add?
That Novice Engineer just didn't get the love.
Yeah, I don't think that the change was necessary, but I could see why they did. It was being played, and I admit I was playing it in a lot of my decks too.
Is it in the OTK deck, like as a deck thinner to get to the combo?
Not most of the time. It
Okay.
wasn't. People were using things like, they're using, either they were doing like, Acolyte of Pain was a very popular one.
Okay, yeah.
Sometimes they were running Cold Light Oracle just to draw 2 cards instead of 1 card off that, and then it's like, actually a lot of the time, the OTK Warrior wasn't even using cantrip cards. They were using things like Auctioneer, Goblin Auctioneer, so that they can charge and enter rage and get cards off those cards, and then like cleave and they get cards off those cards. A lot of it came from the Auctioneer and shield armor, or that was definitely not what that spell's called, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Where's it called?
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I can't see it.
Shield block.
Oh, here we go. Shield block. That's what it's called. Shield block. They were using shield block's actually super efficient and was used in the. It's definitely used in the OTK because once they hit 10 health, they could just like gain that 5 armor, use their hero ability for 5. So that's only 5 mana, and they get 7 more health. But their health technically stays at 10, so it's super important for the OTK warrior. But so for the most part, they didn't actually have a lot of cantrip in it. It was just super efficient value cards like Amani Weaponsmith was definitely played a lot. Fiery War Axe was obviously played a lot. Super efficient. Definitely one of the strongest 2-drops in the game, if not the strongest 2-drops in the game, is Fiery War Axe.
Yeah, the Fiery War Axe is very, very strong.
Yeah. And then it played things like Brawl, Lady Sylvanas, just like things that just combo well and mesh together very well. And that's obviously what makes a good deck great. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think people are a little overhyped with hunters right now. I think they are very strong, but people will find a way to counter them. If not, well, I don't know. We might see some changes very soon. Very, very soon. Because it's either going to be ridiculously strong or it's going to be a flop. And right now it's looking like it's going to be too powerful. But I'm actually a little upset at Blizzard for stepping in so quickly on all their changes. Like, the meta is so liquid. Like it changes so rapidly, and part of that is because they're doing these nerfs. But I kind of wish they would just like let it go for a little bit, like longer than a couple weeks. Like, people are crying about the mages, and so they nerf Pyroblast, and then it's like,
well, the Pyroblast thing was coming for a long time.
That was coming for a long time. That is true. But I mean, were they really that dominant compared to everyone else?
I'm surprised it didn't come with the same patch with the mind control, because it's sort of the same. It's on the same level where you get to that late game and there's like, oh, here's my trump card. No pun intended.
Yeah. Well, it's just a little concerning to me. Like the mind control is basically what kept priests competitive, and now it's like priests, you can just zerg them down so quickly. They don't have a lot to deal with early game. I'm a huge priest fan. I'm still playing priest even today. I'm like rank 12 priest, and
I gotta rank up more. I love to play arena.
And it just seems like with that Pyroblast change, it might be a little bit too much. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what this new meta is like.
Yeah, because even though I haven't played, the general philosophy of card games, like, let the meta handle itself out, let it see if they can actually handle it, and then if not, then step in and, limit cards or ban cards in a traditional, paper card game where you have actual physical cards. But with a virtual card system, you could change things because it's just essentially code and a picture. But at the same time, you have too much ability to change things, and they've changed a lot of things over the course of the beta. Now, some of the things may have been needed to be done, but they just increased the power of Pyroblast a couple patches ago to help mages out. Now they're raising the cost even more. It's like, why not just keep it at, what was it? What was it originally? Like the base value? Was it
Pyroblast?
Like a 9 that did 8?
Oh, geez. I don't remember. As far as I can remember, it was an 8 drop for 10, but they definitely could have changed since the early release.
Yeah, I think I have the original, because Pyroblast is one of those cards I was going, especially after the Fireball change. I was on like, how come they're not doing anything with Pyroblast? Here, let me see what it was originally. It was an 8 cost that did 9 damage. So I don't understand.
They buffed it to 10.
So it became an 8/10, and now it's 2 strong, so now they're making it a 10/10. It's like, why not bring it back to 9 damage, but make it a 9 cost? You know, split the difference. Like,
Yeah. Well, it was basically an 11 damage, because you could drop, you drop Pyroblast and then you can ping for 1. So that was really strong.
they make it a
Or with the
9/9.
Frostbolt.
Yeah, or Frostbolt, which is even
Yeah, I mean,
worse.
It's just like there are certain cards that when you view like what they did to make it better, and then how they nerfed it, it's like Power Blast is probably the best example. There are a few others that would suit, but I think, as you were saying, like they should just give it a couple of weeks to see if, instead of people just moaning and moaning and moaning and moaning, and then Blizzard coming and fixing it, if people actually go to their card collection and play an actual card game. Because I think the other mysterious angle that we haven't touched yet, that most people don't think about, is once a good deck is built by said Trump or Kriparian or any other major YouTuber or live streamer, people just copy it. They don't really explore for themselves.
Yeah.
And when you see a whole bunch of these copycat CC decks out there, yeah, it happens in physical card games, but you have to have the physical cards, so it's actually a lot harder. In a virtual card game, it's like Hearthstone. It's like it's only a matter of time before you get those cards. In fact, you may already have those cards if it relies on neutrals or commons or rares, and doesn't really need that many epics or legendaries to actually make it efficient. So I don't know. It's just they have to accept there's going to be cookie cutters. They have to accept that people that are just going to copy, and then once their deck is not good, they're just going to cry about it. And people in the community just has to innovate. It's like actually try to build decks that if they can counter, and if it can't be done, then Blizzard should step in.
Yeah. Well, it's actually funny that you mentioned that. There's a couple streamers I watch. One of them is Reynold, and I watch Kriparian, and I watch Trump, and Trump doesn't really do constructed. Krip does constructed very rarely. Oh, and I watch Breckful. He also streams Hearthstone now, and whenever they do a deck, you consistently see people in the higher ranks running those decks as well, and I think that's kind of disappointing. It shows that there's just like not a lot of innovation going into these decks. People are just like cookie cuttering, and basically the live streamers are doing the innovation, which is actually a problem in a way. Like it's super obvious that people are running these decks because these streamers are running these decks. Like they're doing it card for card. They have their their decks list posted on their stream, and people are just copy paste their decks, and people are crying because these decks are OP, but people don't really try to counter these decks. Like for example, perfect example, I'm running Giant Warlock was like a huge issue. Like it's still a big issue like today. Like even after this patch, Giant or Warlock control is going to be like very dominant. However, there's a counter to that. Mage, they've got I have a secret deck that runs like Mirror Image, and I know that soon as they hit 10 health, they're gonna drop a Molten Giant. Like that's just a thing that they're gonna do. So by the time I get them down close to 12, 10 life, I drop my Mirror Image down. They drop their Molten Giant. I get a Molten Giant. I get attacked with mine first because they pass the turn, and then it passes to me, and then I get attacked with it first. That usually gives me lethal, right? There's just ways to counter these decks. People just have to play smarter, and I just don't see that happening. People just like want they want their legendary rank but they don't want to put effort into getting that rank, and I think that's really upsetting. But you know, we'll see how this meta turns out.
Mm-hmm.
As far as innovation, the card pool is still, you know, quite small.
It is slim, but there is like cards that aren't used very often. Like there was a night where a couple streamers were doing Murloc decks, and so everyone was playing Murloc deck, and then people like were basically crying about Murloc deck, but people just like totally forgot about Hungry Crab. Like Hungry Crab
Yeah.
because of Murloc deck is just so funny.
If Hungry Crab was a 1/1, and all it did was destroyed a Murloc when it came into play, but drew a card when you played it, it would be worth having.
Oh, that'd be broken. That's Nala's engineer, except like 10 times better. Because it's a 1-drop.
It's like,
But only draws you the card if it kills a Murloc.
Oh. I don't know. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. But yeah, I just, you know, there's a lot more, like, okay, so here's another thing. Like, I'd never heard of this before until I was watching, somebody mentioned it on Reynolds' stream. So you run Lord Jaraxxus, right? And in order to counter Lord Jaraxxus, you have a sacrificial pact in your deck. Now, here's the thing though. So you can counter your own like deck, right? So you run one copy of Sacrificial Pact in case they cast Lord Jaraxxus, you can just kill them instantly. No big deal. But in case you're not fighting a Warlock, it can still see use if you run Sense Demons. Put 2 demons from your deck into your hand, right? You run 1 copy of Sense Demons. What this allows you to do, it fetches Lord Jaraxxus. Assuming you're running no other demons in your deck, it automatically fetches Lord Jaraxxus, and it fetches you a 1/1 demon for 1 that you can sack to Sacrificial Pact if you're not playing another Warlock to gain that 5 health. So it's like creative builds like that. You know, there isn't a huge card pool, but there's still really interesting things that you can do with the cards that I don't think we see a lot of yet. And you know, we have done a ton of testing at this point. You know, people are doing excessive research into their builds, but it's like I had never heard of that build. And then I saw on the Hearthstone Reddit the other day, there was a an OTK Druid draw deck that involved using Cold Light Oracle. Each player draws 2 cards, and then it ran double Naturalize, and then it ran the Brewmaster. So you play Cold Light Oracle. Force each player, assuming that they have no cards in their deck, right? Each player draws 2 cards, so they draw 2 cards off that, and then you bounce it back with the Brewmaster, and then you play it again. Each player draws 2 more cards, and then you naturalize both your own minions, because this says destroy a minion, your opponent draws 2 cards. So then you force them to draw 4 more cards. At this point, they've had to draw 8 cards. They're so dead. They're beyond dead. That's like, it's like they take like 88 or 38 damage or something like that just from that card pool alone. And those aren't really hard cards to put in your deck either. I definitely run Naturalize in my Druid decks as well. So I think there is room for innovation still. And I think we will see a little bit more of it as, you know, these new decks are being formed, like these Hunter decks. I think we're going to start finding people trying to counter that deck a little bit harder. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with the meta. That's all I got to say about Hearthstone again. I think I said that earlier, but now I mean it.
Actually, if it is a card draw with the Druid deck, you do 36 fatigue damage.
Yeah.
Over the course.
Still OTK.
Yeah. Yeah, just confirm. Good old Excel. Yeah, alrighty. So, we talked about Diablo 3, talked about WoW, talked about Hearthstone.
StarCraft.
StarCraft, there actually was one major thing that we knew, and that was in the, I don't know, forgive me if I'm wrong, people, and Quad, you play StarCraft. I don't know how much, though, lately, so I don't know if you'd be up on this, but...
Not a lot lately, but...
StarCraft will be rejoining the MLG
Whoa,
in 2014.
Big
They
news.
yeah, they worked it out and they're gonna be rejoining MLG. I guess whatever happened in the past is in the past, and they're moving forward with that.
So you heard the story of like why they got removed from MLG, right?
Isn't that essentially because Blizzard wasn't funding or wasn't helping promote their own game within MLG, so they just dropped it?
Yeah, basically, like companies usually pay MLG to like host their game because it gives them like revenue, and then MLG basically made an exception for Blizzard for a long time, and they basically said, everyone else is paying to for us to to play their game. Your game isn't doing so great. Either you start giving us cut of the pie, so to say, or we're gonna drop your game. And then Blizzard said we're not gonna pay you anything to play our game. And then so they said, all right, later. So they must have Blizzard must have caved in after probably their numbers dropped quite a bit, because that's obviously that's one of the biggest competitive leagues in the U.S. Or even in the world. So I definitely think Blizzard buckled this time, and they'll be returning. So that's actually really exciting for me, because I didn't play StarCraft that much, but StarCraft is a really fascinating game, and obviously it's played all around the world extensively, and so I'm glad to hear that it's being brought back to MLG. That makes me happy.
Yeah, like I am too, because it's like they're embracing esports to the fullest. They're embracing the established partners out there, such as MLG. They have the WCS, the World Championship Series, and they're actually trying to figure ways to streamline that. That was a very big thing. It was a big part of the only panel at BlizzCon, and it was a StarCraft 2 update, and a large portion of it was dealing with StarCraft 2 and esports and everything, and just trying to make the whole experience easier as far as the players trying to go climb up the ranks to the championship, and also let newer faces come to light and actually show themselves and show their skills. But there's also bleed over potential, because with I think we can move into Heroes of Storm, unless Quad would like to add anything. If they're going back to MLG with StarCraft 2, then there's bleed over. You'd have to think almost 110% that they're going to be doing MLG with Heroes of Storm when Heroes of Storm eventually comes out, is flushed out, and they're ready to make it live, because Heroes of Storm is so primed to be an esport, more than I think any other Blizzard game. Probably even more than StarCraft at this point, because it's open to a much broader base of player type, that you almost have to think that they're setting themselves up for the long game with both StarCraft and Heroes of Storm, which is being done by the same development team, and it's being done essentially on the same engine.
Yeah, well, the Here's the Storm is done in the StarCraft 2 editor, which is really fascinating to me. But that being said, they did say that. So basically, this is how I expect Heroes of the Storm is gonna work similarly to how Hearthstone actually is kind of molding into. So they're gonna release it kind of as not competitive, not super competitive at first, but like the potential to be competitive. And then, if people like take root of it and start noticing it, I think they will start getting into that competitive scene. But they mentioned at BlizzCon that they said, we don't know if we are going to be like an MLG game or an esport game. That's up to you guys. That's exactly almost word for word what they said. So it'll be interesting to see how Here's the Storm comes out. Everyone pretty much expects it to be an esport, but only time will tell.
Come on, Quad. I know you're foaming at the mouth to get your hands on this game.
So, I want it to come with a map editor.
A map editor?
There is potential.
Like,
they were talking about
like,
that at one of the panels.
If this game lets the people take it and mold it the way they want it, that's how the whole MOBA series came together, with the Dota maps from, you know, StarCraft and then Warcraft 3, and then, you know, League of Legends and Dota 2. If the people get to take the game and mold it the way they want it, and then tournaments happen, it's just going to be awesome. Now, something that isn't competitive that I've been thinking about was some of the World of Warcraft battlegrounds can be made into maps for that game, and you could play them as a mini RTS battle, right?
Interesting. Yeah, you could do that. There's a couple of maps that could
Like,
happen.
Rebuild AV, but get rid of that stupid bridge for the Alliance.
Like, it just...
Matter of fact, just remove the Alliance.
Eye of the Storm really comes to mind. Eye of the Storm, I think, would be a great map.
Yeah,
Heroes of the Storm.
And it's funny that you mentioned that. So that you know, Heroes of the Storm is obviously going to be set in all the different franchises for all their games. So it's actually very possible that we could see some of these maps from, you know, World of Warcraft, maybe even Diablo, maybe from StarCraft, kind of all, you know, these different maps, kind of like maybe mesh them in together, and maybe import some of the World of Warcraft maps like Ashara Crater. You know, that was unfinished in WoW, but maybe they might polish it up and finish it in Heroes of the Storm, bringing in Warsong Gulch. It'd be interesting to see how they take that. They definitely have a lot of breathing room as far as creativity, so I have high hopes for that game.
And so removing Last Hidden, you know, a lot of skeptical people for that. But what that's gonna do is it's really gonna, at least the way I see it, is gonna really push away the toxicness of the, oh my god, why is this guy doing this? He's gonna throw the whole game to, you're gonna want to work as a team because the team levels as a team. So it's just gonna promote team play, and then you can't just have one person who's just really bad at basic mechanics like last hitting that just don't exist anymore. So as long as he can be a team member, you won't have to worry about that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, last hitting is definitely a skill that I'm still refining in League of Legends while I'm playing it. You know, I'm silver 1, but I'm still like getting used to ADC. I main support or like mid top lane, and it's definitely one of my weaknesses that I'm trying to address. So it'll be interesting to see. I think I'll probably be a little bit better in Heroes of the Storm just because there's no last hitting. But yeah, like you said, there is definitely a lot more potential for teamwork exercises in this game than in like League of Legends.
Yeah. So a much friendlier community.
I don't know about
that. It'll be like Hearthstone. It'll be friendly and awesome before the closed beta starts, or like before it starts, like when it was just the announcement thread and people were in there already doing tournaments and helping each other out. As soon as closed beta hits, everyone's crying for a beta key. It goes from helpful to I want a beta key like overnight. It's kind of sad when you really think about it. But to address what you brought up as far as like the map editors, they said that they almost came as close as saying we're almost going to do that. We're almost going to give you the tools. The only issue they have is if it was a paid for game type deal, it would be tied to your Battle.net account. So if you made like a map that you were bored one day and you filled it with dicks, like a grown 29-year-old male would do.
Of course.
It would be caught by the reviewer. What?
Are these dicks physically on your screen, or are these other players?
No. They would be inside the map. But since you
Also,
paid,
they're not players.
But since you paid for the game, they would, after when they review it and see obviously this map's not going to go to the marketplace, they would deny the map, probably ban you, and they wouldn't have to worry about it. But since the marketing for Heroes of Storm is a free-to-play model, so what? They ban you. You lose any kind of progression you have on it. Who cares? You just start a new name with a different email, and you're off on your way. You can save the map and resubmit it 100 times over. So it kind of makes the reviewing process a little laborious for people who want to troll the Blizzard submission staff. So that's like the only thing from BlizzCon I remember them stating, and that's my wife in the background moving stuff.
I'm sorry.
But that's like the only thing I remember them stating would be a hindrance. Like they would just have to figure out a different way to review things, like, or maybe put like a submission cap, like one submission per week that they would let each individual person review. Like it could be something really simple like that, and then they could ship out those tools, which I agree with you would be amazing. People could come up with their own version. Like someone could literally create a Iron Storm with like 3 towers that you have to control, and it's literally point based, and there's a flag in the middle. So your team has to decide, okay, do we just hold 2 bases, try to go for 3? Do we hold 1, try to get the flag and get bonus points? I mean, it would be really amazing and really awesome to see that.
Yep. I don't think they will.
If you have the map editor and it's anything like the previous RTS games that they've created, you make your map, and then there's a custom map that you play with your friends. If it gains popularity, and then it just starts gaining popularity, it's not about submitting it for it to be able to be played, or is that a process that has to happen before you can even custom map and play with friends?
Well, they kind of standardized the process with StarCraft 2, so they wouldn't break ranks for. Ooh, that's true. They wouldn't. I don't think they would break ranks with that process for Heroes of Storm. They would do the same process. It would actually kind of cover them, like all around, I guess, legally. Like, hey, like, what's this map doing on this game? It has a bunch of dicks on it. Some parents sues and like, we didn't make that map, but it was in the game. Like, the lawyers win and we the players lose sometimes. So.
Yeah. I don't know if they will or not. I mean, they obviously have the editor for StarCraft because that's what they use to make the game. So, we'll see. We'll see.
Exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Is there any?
I'm watching my wife struggle pulling a cork out of the bottle.
No, it broke. Ah.
And the cork broke in the bottle. Now we move back onto the podcast.
Did you guys put that dog inside that bottle?
Ah, the dog in the bottle.
Cheap ass bottle. Last time I get something on set.
Alrighty. Let's just try to keep this going.
Well, it is almost an hour and 50 minutes. Do you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, we could do that. Was there anything else on Heroes of the Storm that we... Yeah, I mean, there hasn't been much official news. They did do the holiday stream before the New Year's and all that kind of break. But I haven't heard anything new. I guess they're kind of keeping on the down low. Trying not to bring too much to light, so people are like, oh, when's the beta coming out? And just annoy them like 24/7. Yeah, I don't think there's really too much to go over. And, yeah, so, I guess any kind of closing thoughts I may have are, you know what? Beta, you go first. Yeah, I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to let you go first.
Closing thoughts. I hate to say this, but I'm starting to lose interest in Diablo a little bit. I don't know. I definitely am gonna play Diablo at launch, but I'm mostly looking forward to Hearthstone and World of Warcraft at this point. It just seems like Diablo has too much of a time sink for no PvP and very little endgame. So, Hearthstone and WoW will probably be the games I'll be playing in the next couple months. So, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Alright, and Quad. What are your final thoughts? And also add where people can find you, Twitter, YouTube, and everything. Because even though because you've been part of the forum and you had your own stuff, and you have your own live stream that people can view, non-Blizzard stuff. So, final thoughts and where people can find you. Lovely stuff.
Final thoughts. Final thoughts. So, Beta should be playing Minecraft with us.
Get him hooked on the crack. I mean, the craft.
Yeah, I mean, it's an addiction that needs to happen. Still going to be playing some League of Legends. The excitement for the Heroes of the Storm just sort of comes with that, being part of any sort of MOBA game. Definitely going to try and grind up some Hearthstone ranks. Last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago, I tried to do that, and then they reset them.
Yeah, it was actually a delayed reset. They had to postpone it for a really long time. They wanted to do it at the end of the month, but they ended up going like close to 10 days in to the next month. So I think this month is going to be a short month, and then they're going to kind of stabilize after that.
As far as the World of Warcraft thing goes, I guess it's, we just wait for Blizzard to do their announcement, and we'll go from there. It's pretty cool that you get a free 90. Maybe I'll check that out. Not that I don't already have an 85 of every class.
True. I think I have 90s.
And, yeah, it comes with the 8-year, 9-year, whatever it is, how many years we've played WoW. So, I'm going to be playing lots of games. I know WildStar is coming. It's around the corner. It doesn't have a release date. That's something I'm going to be doing non-Blizzard related on my own stream. If you want to check out anything I do, of course, it's twitch.tv/thequadler. And then my Twitter is also @thequadler. YouTube channel, thequadler1.
Yes.
That's pretty much everything.
Yeah.
And you can always find me on the GrindExp forums.
Yeah.
Not for long.
Well, yeah. Well,
Kicking me out already.
Yeah. All right. So now that Beta put that up, we actually do have a beta version of not a totally new site, but just because right now we're running Joomla, and we're actually probably going to convert it over to a different CMS software, one that makes it easier for Beta and now the Quadler or Quad. I'm going to mix it up in between. Like whenever I feel in like a Batman mood, I'm going to call you the Quadler, in honor of the Riddler.
Whatever you say, Doc.
And let's do it that way. Yeah, we're gonna do that. So, and also, we'll allow you, the lovely followers and viewers, to actually comment on our articles and YouTube videos for once. Finally, lovely stuff. So we're actually in the process of doing that. We have the possibility of 2 different World of Warcraft giveaways in the near and upcoming future, as soon as we get the site dealt away with. There is actually a possibility of us doing away with the forums, even though we kind of hate to do that. If we want to go to a quicker way of you interacting with us, and commenting is definitely one of those. Just so you don't have another user name and password on some other forums, you forget where it is and all that kind of nonsense. It also leaves a lot of the back end maintenance on my part, since I have to run the maintenance on the website and the forums and the YouTube channel and a whole bunch of other aspects.
Yeah, it's just a lot of work, and it's a ghost town. So I think we're just gonna axe it, and then for the most part, I think it's still gonna be there slightly, but for the most part, the general public is not going to be able to access it. So.
But don't worry.
But we might bring it back in the future. If
Yeah.
we start getting more popular and there's more demand for it. But at the moment, there's just not a whole lot of demand, and I think the comments at the front page is going to be sufficient.
Yeah, and if we do contests where you have to submit things like pictures like, show us your beta face. Again, that contest was awesome. We'll just handle that through a generic Gmail account or email account, whatever we do. So
Yeah,
no worries with contests and submissions. Like, we'll think things out. We've gotten pretty good at this over the last 2 years that we've been doing this. Yeah, 2 years, amazing, and it. But yeah, so that's it for now. We've been delayed, as we said, holidays, car accidents, and new people on the staff. Oh my! We're gonna be getting up there, hopefully with Warlords of Draenor, since that's looking like to be the next beta. If we get a few beta keys to give away, if we do, we'll give them away. If not, if we only get 1 or 2 for ourselves to stream, we'll definitely do that. Try to get as many questions as possible, as we always do. But I think that we'll call it for this Grindcast number 4, the Quad-fecta.
Oh.
And
On the stream, do the stream, more streams.
Yes, we'll get back in that habit.
I'm always here.
Unless it's Hearthstone, which I'm completely horrible at. Beta can attest to that.
Yeah, pretty bad.
Yeah. I put money into it like I do every Blizzard game, and that's it. Alright, so...
We're born this way.
Okay, on that fact alone. Okay, let's call it. So, this is Dreadscythe, and I'm joined by Beta, and new team member Quadler, Quadlific, any of those. Welcome today. Thank you for joining us on this very long adventure. Hope you made it, and hope you made a few friends along the way. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Peace.